This is your Sports Garten Network update.
Hey guys, welcome aboard SGN Super Bowl Special, the Prop Special Show. I'm Tom Barton. I'm going to take you through the show today. We are going to look at a bunch of prop plays for the Super Bowl. It's becoming increasingly more what people are led to, right? Everybody seems to love the prop plays, even if you don't really like the game itself. It is the prop play market. There are upwards of 500 prop plays available at each one of these sports books. And now, with legalized sports betting around the country, there's competition. So you could go find a great line here. Don't go on that line. We'll take you through all of that. A little tutorial as well. Don't fall into some traps. I'll tell you some of those. And some really good ones that I did find, depending on where you're shopping. They could be great ones. So we'll get into all of that here during Super Bowl week. We are Sports Garten Network. That's Garten. If you want to check us out more, it's sportsgarten.com. You can listen to our radio show in over 100 cities across America, 100 stations, and we're talking this Sunday morning, 11 to 1 on Eastern Time. Myself, Rashad Jennings, takes you through a 2-hour show. That's always really informative and a lot of fun. And we do have some podcasts that we would like you to check out as well. Believe in Betting. And we also have Wagering Week, which we just hit our 100th episode on Wagering Week on the podcast. So go check that out, subscribe, listen to the past interviews. It's always a lot of stuff that we're doing here at SGN. So let's talk, guys. Let's talk prop plays, right? We're talking about the prop plays coming up for the Super Bowl. And right off the table, everybody wants to talk about the quarterbacks because why not? Look, Matthew Stafford's a fantastic story, even though he's being kind of dressed as the villain here, right? I mean, the guy toiled away his entire career in Detroit, even though he had superior talent, just couldn't get anything done on the winning side of it. Well, now he's the feel-good story, but he's not, because you have upstart Joe Burrow, who is just charismatic, everyone seems to love, and they are the underdogs for the game. But everyone's talking about these two. The quarterback of both teams should be, obviously, the number one look when you're talking about MVP, right? And that's where we're going to start. We're going to start with the Super Bowl MVP because everybody seems to always gravitate towards, okay, I don't really love the game, but I want to pick whoever's going to win the MVP. You know, you start to talk about Super Bowl MVPs, and the reality is you really got to go out on a ledge unless you're going with a quarterback, right? First of all, let's talk just for a second. We'll step it back here. And we're going to talk about wide receivers. Wide receivers are all the flavor, right? It could be Chase. It could be Kupp. It could be Odell. Someone's going to be throwing them the ball. And that's the problem, that the quarterback, well, all of a sudden he gets propped up. Running backs have kind of fallen out of favor here, and it would take a miraculous effort. Just, ask James White. When the New England Patriots, and I know, look, they came back from a deficit, and Brady got the MVP, of course, but when they came back in that game against the Atlanta Falcons, James White kind of deserved the MVP, but he was not going to get that over Tom Brady and what he accomplished. And that's the problem that you get in with offensive players. If you want to go for a defensive player, sure, you can do that, but there's been 3 defensive MVPs, Super Bowl MVPs in the last 25 years. So while there are interesting numbers put out there, and you're looking at, well, that guy might be 40 to 1, or that guy might be 30 to 1. You really got to look at both of the quarterbacks because they are going to drive this. It's also an idea where I do explain to my listeners all the time, and we talk about this at SGN all the time. It's not an award that is based on pure numbers, right? It's not home runs. Who's got the most home runs? It's not who throws the most passing yards. No, it's voted on, right? And when you're voting on stuff, sometimes it's good for the game. It's good for the game to have Matthew Stafford, right, be the MVP. It's good for the game to have Joe Burrow. And you got to remember that emotions as well as monetary configurations might play a part of this. So you have to have a superhuman effort to steal it away, the MVP, and especially Super Bowl MVP, away from a quarterback. So I'm not going with anything on the MVP. If I was going to take a roll of the dice, crazy long shot, Trey Hendrickson might be my guy, right? He's got a sack in 14 to 17 games. He's a guy that his sack total is increasing over the last couple of games. He was a beast against Patrick Mahomes in the second half specifically. And if you think the Bengals defense is going to win the game, well, you got to find a defensive player. No one's better than him. But as far as the MVPs, I'm laying off because I don't really see a lot of value in taking either Burrow or Stafford. And that's kind of where I'm at, is you got to decide between one of the two. And if you're deciding between one of the two, well, you're kind of deciding who you want to win the game. Only one time in the 50-plus years history of the Super Bowl has an MVP come from an opposing team, a team that lost the game. So I don't think that's going to happen. Again, you just can't count on things like that. And remember, this is sports betting. This isn't let's go have fun and gamble. And there is a distinct difference here. You will hear the conversation a lot this week, more than ever. Whenever I go to sports books, it makes me cringe. Ugh! It freaks me out a little when I hear guys walking past me. It's $100. It's for fun. It's $100. Why not? Why not? It's for fun. Oh, that drives me nuts because you know what? It's just a donation most of the time. You could go out there and look at these great odds. Oh, these fancy, beautiful odds, right? Oh, they lure you in. They suck you in, these odds. Yeah, but they're giant odds for a reason. One of them that I love to talk about all the time is the overtime. Okay, when you're talking about an overtime, so many people going, I'll take it plus 900 or plus 10 to 1. I've seen it as high as 11 to 1 this year. Oh, yeah, well, it might be overtime. It might be. Okay, it might be. We've had one Super Bowl ever come in overtime. So you're talking about 50 plus Super Bowls. One time it came in. So the real value there is actually on the other side at 14 to 1. I've seen it as low as 14 to 1. I've seen it as high as 20 to 1. But if you can find a 14 to 1, the real value is to take the no overtime. But the casinos also know, and the sports books are very well aware, that not a lot of guys out there are willing to go spend $140 to win $10, right? I mean, there's just not going to get a lot of action on that. So you have to think like the sports books, and you have to kind of determine, okay, well, you know what? It's not worth me throwing $140 to win $10. No, but it's also not worth throwing your 10, 20, $100 away to take a long shot. Now, I'm somebody that I've told this story on the air for years because it's a great story. I am somebody that during my bachelor party, about a decade ago now, during my bachelor party, there had never been a safety ever. I convinced everybody to come in with a safety, and we got 11 to 1 odds. A couple of guys got 10 to 1 odds, right? It hit. It hit on the last play of the game. We walked around like this. It was just fantastic. I mean, I can still see people from my bachelor party now, and I'll see them, and I'll go, safety, right? We made so much money, but guess what happened since then? Nowadays, it's only 8 to 1 back, right, on the safety, right? You've lost a lot of value. So these are things that you have to pay attention to when you're going for big numbers. I see people picking the score, right? If you love a score, and I've said, hey, you know what, 28-27 is probably a fun score for this Super Bowl, right? Something like that. Well, for $100, I could win like $35,000. But do you know the odds? I should just go out there and scratch off a lotto ticket. So enough about what we shouldn't do, right? Let's talk about some fun prop plays that we should do. Okay. So you're starting to talk about fun prop plays here, and I think one of the good ones here is combined yardage of all touchdown passes or all touchdowns in the game over 69.5. Look, I think there's going to be one big pop, right? I think someone's going for a big long touchdown, and you really only need one to kind of bring it back into favor. Depends. Do you think that there's a high scoring game or a low scoring game? I'm kind of in the middle. I think 48.5 is a very fair line. But I think each team scores 3 touchdowns. So do the math, right? If you're breaking down 3 touchdowns each, so that's 6 touchdowns divided by 69. Do the math, right? You're getting like, you only need 13, 14 yards per touchdown. So that means if you pop one for a big one, and I'm not even talking a 50-yarder, right? If you pop one for 35, 40, you're sitting pretty. I mean, you're looking good right there. So that's one that I am looking at. Longest reception is also something to pay attention to. I see a lot of people going on individual player props, which we'll get to in a moment. And you talk about individual player props, and I hear people going, oh, Cooper Kupp, longest reception this. So if you're going to do it, just go on the longest reception for the game. Then you have everybody else. Now, it's a small difference. It's not a price difference. It's a small difference in yardage. But if you're going to love one player, go on all of the players and maximize your profitability. That's something you have to pay attention to when we are talking about prop plays, maximizing profitability. Another way to do that, maximize profitability, I love to take the sacks. Every year I seem to take the sacks. This year, we know Joe Burrow's got a bad offensive line. He was sacked 9 times. Here comes Aaron Donald. We know. Oh, it's a tough one. Well, they do too. A lot of these books set at 5, 5.5 I've seen even laying out there. But I found a way around that. Right? I found a way around that. And again, to increase your profitability, how about the Rams over 3 sacks at minus 110? Found this one at Caesars. Right? How about the sacks for the Bengals over 1.5 minus 145? So you can find these, right? Now I just lowered that to 4.5. I don't need 6 sacks to win. I need 5 sacks to win. I bought myself a full sack. Now, again, you say, well, what if the Rams got 4 and then the Bengals don't get any? Okay, You lose a little bit of money, you lose a little bit of the vig, but generally speaking, I'd rather go on that than to try to take a 5 or 5.5 number. I'm trying to increase my profitability, right? And give myself a better chance to win. So those are some that kind of jump off the page. If you do want like a long shot, right? I don't want to be the non-fun guy, right? Look, I'm not going to talk about color of the Gatorade bath, blue. I'm not going to talk about that, right? I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to get into some of the ridiculousness of who will mention what and all that. There's a prop play. Will someone propose after the Super Bowl? That's literally how it's written in an offshore book. Will someone propose after the Super Bowl? I guarantee you someone's going to propose after the Super Bowl, right? You didn't say on the team, and you didn't say when. I mean, it could be 6 months down the road. So we're not going to talk about those because they get a little funky and they are fun, but let's not put any real money towards it. And I don't believe in fun money, right? But if you do want to take a shot at something, look, how about a lead change in the fourth quarter paying 2-1? That gives you a chance to, if you don't like either team and you're not really sure, hey, it gives you an opportunity to be engaged the entire game. It gives you some fun time to have. You got a shot at 2-1. Just, hey, you know what? Have a lead change. That's it. If you want to get really daring, there's a lead change in the last 2 minutes of the game at plus 700. That's something as well. Let's go into some more stuff here. I do like a really good prop play, probably one of my better prop plays this year because of the payout value. Will 3 players, right? It's over 2.5. 3 players attempt to pass. Well, we know it's Stafford and Burrow, right? 1, 2, boom, boom. I think plus 140 is a pretty good number. I think you're getting plus 140 that Odell, who has already done this, right? And Odell has a career of kind of getting gimmicky. Hecker could be a guy that gets gimmicky. What if somebody gets hurt? What if somebody, I'm not wishing a long absence, but Joe Burrow this year had to come out for a play. Brandon Allen came in and tried to throw a pass. What if somebody loses a helmet and it's a third down? They got to throw it, right? There's ways to get around this. Plus the idea that McVay and Taylor know each other. So it might get a little gimmicky, right? We might have to have a gimmicky wrinkle into this thing to really have some fun. That's something else that I do like. That's one of the ones that I do kind of like. I don't go on, I'm not going to go all in on that. I'm not going to bet real money on that, but I do think I have a real opportunity to cash out there. The same thing with the touchdown passes. We'll go back to talking about the quarterbacks. Now, I don't want to lay minus 240 or 245 that Stafford's going to throw 2 touchdowns. And I really don't want to even lay minus 180, although I think there's some value there, with Joe Burrow to throw 2 touchdowns over 1.5. But I can parlay them together, hope that both quarterbacks score 2 touchdowns, both of them throw 2 touchdowns, I should say. Both of them have a good game. And now, I'm going to parlay them together. Instead of 100 here and 100 there, I'll throw $100 together and I'm going to win about even money or so. I'll take a shot on something like that. And I don't usually like parlays. All right, what about player props, right? That's the big thing. Everybody loves player props. I liked Cam Akers for carries when it opened up. And it opened up at 14.5. It's up to 17 in some books. And you do have to watch this. You have to watch the line movement. Now I don't like it. I think Cam Akers is probably good for about 15 or 16, maybe even 17. But to win this, now you need him to get into that 18 range. He does have some fumbling problems. And inside the goal line, I actually think Sonny Michel plus 375 to score a touchdown adds a little value, guys. I'll take a shot at Sonny Michel plus 375 if you're looking for a touchdown scorer on the Rams running situation. And then you look at the Bengals running backs and, Evans and, of course, Mixon. I don't love anything there. I know that Mixon is an integral part of this team. I do get that, but he's had too many games this year. He's got 2 games all regular season where he had over 100 yards. So I don't see him busting out. And the number is low enough. But also remember, the public loves to bet overs. I don't love the over. I don't love the under there. But I don't mind an idea of minus 220 that a Rams running back will also score a touchdown. I think Akers has an opportunity. I think Michel. And it doesn't say rushing touchdown, guys. It says just score a touchdown. So that's something to pay attention to as well. Something else that everybody just absolutely loves is the wide receivers this year. Look, Chase and Boyd and Higgins. Here's the thing with Boyd, and I know a lot of you guys out there love Boyd and you love the receptions and the yardage over. Here's the thing with Boyd. He lost a lot of slot possession time over the last 2 playoff games to Higgins, and that's why Higgins actually over 69.5 yards looks interesting to me, but that's even a little bit high. I do think that Jalen Ramsey is going to go up against Jamar Chase one-on-one. I don't think that Joe Burrow is going to shy away from him, but I do think he can have a little bit of trouble, which now opens up Higgins more. So of the three of them, I kind of like Higgins here, just because he's getting the snaps, he's getting the slot possession, he's red hot right now. I love Chase, and I know everybody does love Chase, but understand he is going up against Jalen Ramsey one-on-one. Jalen Ramsey is one of the best corners in the league. Can he beat him? Sure. Do I think he's going to get some targets? Absolutely. But Ramsey might just have that kind of great game. And all of a sudden, you look at your secondary and third options, and you have a big tight end, you have Boyd over the middle, you have Higgins, and it might just turn around where Chase is a weapon, but he's not a utilized in the catch receptions weapon. Just my 2 cents on that. Over on the Rams side, Odell is a pretty good option to get into the end zone. You know, he's plus 130 to get into the end zone, and that makes a little bit of sense to me. I am not the biggest Odell guy, but I understand how they're using him right now. And you look at Odell Beckham, and you look at how he's revamped his image, and you also understand that, look, they're not going to try not to let Cooper Kupp beat them, obviously. OBJ he's been not the best touchdown reception guy that we've seen here, right? But he's got 6 in 10 games with LA this year. So I think he can get in there, and I do believe that the Bengals are going to pay massive attention to Cooper Kupp. You don't want to lose the Super Bowl because the guy that is the best player outside of a quarterback in the NFL beat you, right? Which brings us to Cooper Kupp. This is a real tough situation, a dangerous slope that we're going down with Cooper Kupp because his yardage opened up at over 103, and I loved it. 103 and a half, even in some books, is where it opened up. I loved it. I said, I'm jumping on the over. But I jumped on the over because I knew what was going to happen. Everybody's going to come in and pound Cooper Kupp over. And now I'm seeing it as high as 107. I think by going game time, we're going to get 108, 108 and a half, maybe more. And you can middle that out. That's why I took it at 103. But now you're sitting here and you're, well, where are you now? 106, 107, whatever you're getting when you're shopping around. It's hard for me to go under. Absolutely. He went 16-4 to the over this year, right? 16 times. If you just took Cooper Kupp over every single game that he played, you're a rich man, okay? I mean, that's what you're looking at with Cooper Kupp. And when the chips are down, Stafford's going to go to Cooper Kupp. He's averaging 10 yards per game in the postseason. 10 targets per game in the postseason. He's going to get his looks. He is averaging over 106 receiving yards in 11 of the last 16 games. This is a player that I feel confident in, even though the public is backing. Now, if it continues to keep going up, you start getting into that zone where it's dangerous. I think we're almost there with Cooper Kupp. I think he has a big game. I'm not sure if the Bengals can defend him, but I don't love the overpouring, everybody going crazy on Cooper Kupp. So those are pretty much the big-time prop plays that are out there. There's a lot more. If you guys can, please comment below. Let me know which ones that you guys are playing and which ones you guys think maybe I forgot. You agree, you disagree, you're a Bengals fan, Rams fan. Leave a message. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. We're going to be doing this occasionally, so let me know how I did after the Super Bowl as well. I am Tom Barton. This is SGN. Have a very good Super Bowl, everybody.